Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, it was going to happen eventually. I wasn't always going to be able to do a match reaction on Liverpool wins and clean sheets and everything else. But I think that, to be quite honest, it was just a shocking performance all round. Looking at the game, obviously, I came into it with a lot of positives. I, like probably many other people, expected that we would go out there and control the game, look to win the game by just using possession, killing them with passes, the things that we've kind of grown used to with having Arne Slot as the Liverpool manager. But instead, what we saw was a load of misplaced passes, players just on completely different wavelengths from each other. There was a number of times where Liverpool got ourselves into good positions, but rather than play a pass which looked like it would be fairly straightforward, fairly, an easy pass to play. Instead, what we would do was consistently just give the ball away, sloppy passes, sloppy possession. And it's not even a lot of the times that it was a bad pass, in my opinion. Instead, there was a lot of occasions whereby not only was the pass not good, but also the players just looked like they were stuck in mud. There was a number of occasions that I saw where the ball was going to the player, and then rather than actually try and get to the ball, they just kind of went, "Oh, I've lost it." Okay. And it just was a shocking game to behold, really, from a Liverpool point of view. Very, very disappointed to see. I think that realistically, the game plan that we had, I don't think it was necessarily the wrong game plan. I think that we did look like we were the better team in large parts. Obviously, we controlled a lot of the ball, we controlled a lot of the possession. We had a number of chances. Diaz hitting the post, for example, in the first half. But realistically, we were frustrated by a team that had a set game plan. They wanted to come to Anfield, they wanted to frustrate us, and then they wanted to, for example, hit us on the break with a counter attack or something else like that, which is obviously what they did. But we were the creators of our own downfall, in my opinion. So many times where it's just a simple pass and we let ourselves down, either through a player not reacting quick enough, the pass being behind them. And this is, everybody was guilty of this, by the way. I saw Salah do it, I saw Trent do it, I saw Darwin do it, Jota do it, Gravenberch do it. Literally every player who was playing passes, in and around it wasn't even limited to in and around their area. We were doing sloppy passes inside our own half. And it's something that I'd grown kind of used to seeing with Liverpool of old. There has been a number of games where we played in the past, and I was frustrated by the fact that we couldn't seem to just string simple passes together. And today it was no different. It was exactly the same as these frustrating games that we've had in the past. And again, it's all making, we're the victims of our own making, if that makes sense. We easily could have, looked. We could have gone into this game, and I think we'd be forgiven for thinking that, it was. I mean, I predicted 3-0. I predicted it was going to be a 3-0 win. I thought it was going to be comfortable, make changes at 60 minutes in preparation for Milan, but instead, I think that a lot of the changes that we probably had planned to make had to be changed. I think that, I don't know if Salah, for example, we would have wanted him to play the full 90 minutes, knowing that, he played for Egypt and knowing that we've got Milan coming up. But instead, we had to kind of change our things around and move Trent into centre midfield to bring Bradley on. That meant that Trent had to play another full game. But there were times where, for example, I saw things like, along with the sloppy passing, players getting frustrated with each other, Trent and Salah blaming each other for dodgy passes. I saw the amount of times I saw Salah try and whip the ball with the outside of his foot and not one of them worked out. And not blaming just Salah for this. There was one, for example, where he was looking for Gakpo to go at the back post, and neither Gakpo nor Darwin actually went to attack the ball, which on another day would have been a good opportunity for us to score a goal. So realistically, looking at it, there is just no positives to take away from this game. I think that realistically, I wouldn't even want to do a match rating because I think none of them played really well. I thought maybe Virgil in the first half. He was stepping in, winning the ball. He looked dominant. But then, in the second half, he was losing out on headers to, for example, their Jota Silva when he came on. He was beating Van Dijk in the air. So realistically, I don't think anyone particularly had a good game. Diaz looked dangerous in the first half, but then in the second half, he kept on trying to beat Aina down the left-hand side, and Aina just kept on tackling him. Likewise, Salah kept on trying to beat Moreno, and even Nico Williams, when he came on, kept on trying to beat him outside. I think he done it once in the whole game, and then nothing really worked out. Jota, in the first half, didn't really notice him playing. I thought Gravenberch done okay, but nothing spectacular. Szoboszlai, again, sloppy passes, being slow to react to certain passes. McAllister spent more time in the first half on the floor than actually playing football, so that wasn't always going to be great. And I just think realistically, we need to be, these are the kind of games that are going to frustrate us all season. We know the kind of team that Liverpool are now under Slot. We've seen us play enough times to know that we're going to look to control possession. We're going to look to control the game, and we're going to look to sort of, kill them with passes. We've heard this statement going around a number of times. But rather than it be a case of kill them with passes, teams are going to sit back, they're going to allow us to come onto them, and then they're going to look to spring a counter-attack. It was obvious Nottingham Forest's game plan. They were looking to frustrate us. They were giving away free kicks. They were buying fouls off us, in and around sort of the halfway line, looking to frustrate us, looking to annoy us, looking to really sort of slow the game down, take any kind of rhythm out of it. And then in the second half, they brought on their Elangas, their Hudson and Doys, and they wanted to counter-attack us, and it worked to effect. Connor Bradley for the goal. When you've got someone like Hudson Odoi coming down on you, you know what he's going to try and do. He wants to come inside so that he can get the shot away. And then Connor Bradley, he allowed him to do it. He was far too passive in his defending, allowed him to come inside, which then allowed him to get the shot away. In those kind of occasions, either show them down the line and then allow the other defenders to actually be able to defend any situation that comes from across, or you go in and you try and win the ball back. Conor Bradley just kind of stood off him and was like, oh, okay, let's see what he's going to do. And eventually he just ended up running straight past him, coming inside, and then firing the ball into the bottom corner. Alisson, I don't think you can blame him for it. I think he was unsighted by Konate coming across. But yeah, even when we went a goal down, there wasn't any sort of collective, come on lads, let's get this, we can do it, we can turn this game around. Instead, it was just more frustration, more of the same thing, more of us just giving the ball away needlessly, I don't think that realistically Nottingham Forest had to sort of really sort of challenge us in terms of winning the ball back. All they had to do was drop back, and then as we press forward, they would drop back, and then wait for the moment where that sloppy pass came in, or they knew we was going to just try and roll it across the edge of the box. Someone would step forward and win the ball. There was just like a lack of imagination from us. Obviously, a couple of good chances, but nothing really sort of fantastic. Diaz's shot that hit the post, McAllister had a header. But other than that, we just looked poor. And I saw something as well that I'd seen previously. I'm going back to sort of Crystal Palace at the start of it was last season or the season before, where we then started shooting from outside the box again. I saw Jota try and take a shot from outside the box. I saw Trent have a go. I think Salah had a go as well. It was almost like we were running out of ideas, so we're just going to try that Hail Mary and just try and, whip the ball in from 20, 30 yards out and then see what can happen. But I think realistically, we need to start looking at these kind of games because it's going to happen more and more and more as we go forward. There's going to be more and more occasions where teams are going to set up this way to frustrate us. Not every team is going to be like Brentford where they're going to try and play football against us. Not every team is going to be like Ipswich where they're going to try and play football against us. There are going to be teams that are going to be sitting back, dropping back deeper and saying, okay, come and break us down and we'll just hit you on the counter-attack. So there has to be another way to break this down when this is going to happen. But I've just felt it was really frustrating. I thought the first 3 games we looked so good in terms of being able to control the ball, control possession. We looked like a team that knew exactly what we were doing with the ball. We had a plan, we had an idea. We knew when we won the ball or when we had the ball, this is how we're going to build up to get to where we wanted the ball to go. But on this game, it looked like we were kind of running short of ideas at every occasion. It was Salah running down the line, he gets tackled. Diaz running down the line, he gets tackled. We get the ball, we come inside, we then try and pass it along the edge of the area. The pass goes behind the player running onto the ball, or the pass goes in front of the player trying to run onto the ball, and he's too flat-footed and doesn't want to move towards it to get it. And these kind of things can't happen. If you want to be a team that's going to compete against the likes of Man City and Arsenal to win the Premier League, you can't have games where you lose because of your own inability to pass the ball. It's as simple as that. You can't. You watch Man City, they don't have games where they can't pass the ball. They have players like De Bruyne, they have players like Bernardo Silva, they have players who will just control the game and they will find that pass no matter what it takes. Liverpool, we seem to have this thing where collectively we just forget how to pass. You can understand if one player has a bad game. You really can. But then when one player does it, and then a second player does it, then a third player does it, then a fourth player does it, it's like it was contagious today. As soon as that first pass was poor, every other player then started to play poor passes. We were trying to chip the ball over the top to players, but it was always overhit or the player wasn't running in time. And I think that realistically, this is something that we need to start. I understand that, we've had 3 good games, and I don't want to go into just this whole negative reaction based on the first game that doesn't go the way we expect it to. However, there has to be a plan for these kind of games where teams are going to sit down, where we don't try and rush things. We constantly say about how Trent is one of the best passers of the ball, yet he was making sloppy passes left, right, and centre. So, yeah, obviously frustrating. Well done to Nottingham Forest. They had a game. They went at us with a game plan. They knew for the first 45 minutes they were probably just going to. I think their whole game plan for the first half was just, let's just frustrate them as much as we can, and then we'll see what happens in the second half. If we're still in the game at 45 minutes, then we'll start to look at bringing on our players like Hudson-Odoi, like Elanga, and then try and catch us on the counter attack. But the thing that annoyed me the most about our performance is when they brought on these players, they looked like the better team. They were getting the ball, they were winning the ball off us, they were attacking, they looked like they could counter-attack us every single time. And it really kind of reminded me of the season, not last season, but the season before, where we just didn't really, the team just looked out of shape. They looked, they're not on the same wavelength. They looked like they weren't really well connected to each other. They looked like they'd never played football before and they were rediscovering each other for the first time. We looked rushed. We looked hurried, we looked pressured, we looked like... I think if we'd have played that game for an extra 2 hours, we still wouldn't have created a proper goal-scoring opportunity, to be quite honest with you, so it's disappointing. Again, well done to Nottingham Forest. They went there with the game plan, and the game plan worked out really well for them. So they ended up coming away with the 1-0 win. So, yeah, that's all from me. Bit ranty. I knew it was going to happen. We weren't going to win every single game. But it's frustrating when you come away from a game where you are the creators of your own downfall. And I think that's exactly what we can say about us today. And it was contagious. It was one player makes a mistake, then everybody else starts to make the same mistake. And it just became frustrating. It became frustrating to sit there and see this Liverpool team play this way again. I thought we'd left this in the past 2 seasons ago from when we finished outside the top 4 to now see that creeping back into our game in only the 4th game of this season. It's disappointing. However, it comes after 3 wins, a very positive start. So I'm not suddenly going to get negative and start calling out players. But I think, if we're going to start going into this period of time now where we're going to have a lot of games in a short space of time, then we need to make sure that every game we play, we're on point. This was kind of the game that we looked at and we said, okay, this is 3 points. We can start resting players here. But now this puts pressure on us for the other games that are coming up. How can you rest players in other games that you said these are, when you look at the fixture list and you say, okay, these are the games that we can start resting players. How can you rest the players if you now suddenly can't rely on that team to go out there and win because they're having a bad day or whatever the situation is going to be, whatever the cause is going to be? So in my opinion, this is something that we need to stop and nip in the bud right now. Obviously, easier said than done. But yeah, so hopefully You enjoyed the video. Obviously a little bit ranty today. I'm still going to do the tactical breakdown and analysis. That will probably come out tomorrow. And also I want to apologise for the slow uploads that I've been having recently. I don't know if you've noticed that we've got a new background now. I've had to redo the room to make it more of a studio, something I'm more comfortable with. So yeah, I wanted to make it basically more quality production that I'm doing rather than just a camera pointed at me sitting at a desk. So hopefully you enjoy this new style. But yeah, hopefully if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos coming out soon, such as the tactical analysis that's going to be coming out tomorrow, and also plus more live streams. I've got a live stream coming out tomorrow as well, so that will be something to look forward to. So subscribe to the channel if that's the kind of things you're into, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, and I will speak to you all soon. Goodbye.